Picture a Saturday afternoon in late July, curtains drawn against the summer sunshine. The whole family crowded around a small black and white television set. Dad in his armchair leaning forward, Mum perched on the arm of the sofa, children sitting cross-legged on the carpet so close to the screen they could feel the static. The smell of cigarette smoke drifting through the room. A pot of tea going cold on the side table. Outside, the streets were empty, not a car moving, not a child playing. 32 million people watching the same flickering images at the same moment. The 30th of July, 1966, the day Britain stopped. Welcome back to the channel. If you remember this day, or if someone in your family has told you stories about it, please leave a comment below. We love hearing your memories. And if you enjoy these journeys into the past, hit that subscribe button so you never miss one. 1966 was the year Britain felt like the center of the world. Time magazine had just declared London the swinging city. The Beatles were everywhere. Their album Revolver would be released that same summer, changing music forever. Twiggy had been named the face of '66. Mini skirts filled Carnaby Street. Pirate radio stations like Radio Caroline blasted pop music across the nation because the BBC only played 1 hour of it a day. Young people felt like anything was possible. But look closer, and you saw a different Britain too. A country still rebuilding from the war, terraced houses with outside toilets, coal fires burning in front room, families still renting their television sets from shops like Radio Rentals because buying one outright cost too much. 2/3 of homes had a TV by now, but most were small screens in wooden cabinets showing everything in shades of grey. Colour television would not arrive until 1967. This was a Britain where everyone watched the same programs at the same time. No recordings, no catch-up, no second screen. If you missed something, you missed it. And when something big happened, the whole country experienced it together. The World Cup had come to England. The tournament began on the 11th of July and the nation held its breath. 3 years earlier, the England manager, Alf Ramsey, had made an extraordinary promise. "We will win the World Cup," he said. At the time, people thought he was mad. England had never won it. They had been humiliated 6-2 by Hungary at Wembley in 1953. What made Ramsey so confident? Ramsey was a strange character. He came from working-class Essex but had carefully shed his accent. He was meticulous and tactical, cold with the press but fiercely loyal to his players. He had developed something revolutionary, a formation without traditional wingers. His team became known as the wingless wonders. Instead of wide players hugging the touchline, he packed the midfield. Players worked hard, covered more ground, confused opponents who expected to see someone running down the flanks. His captain was Bobby Moore, just 25 years old but already a leader, calm and elegant on the ball, the sort of defender who made difficult things look easy. Alongside him was Bobby Charlton, a survivor of the Munich air disaster in 1958. A player with thunderous shooting and graceful movement, the attacking heart of the team. Then there was Nobby Style, gap-toothed and ferocious, the man who did the dirty work, breaking up attacks, winning the ball, and in goal, Gordon Banks, safe hand, the best goalkeeper in the world. The tournament started badly. England drew 0-0 with Uruguay at Wembley on the 11th of July. The crowd went home disappointed. The press turned on Ramsey. Perhaps his prediction was foolish after all, but Ramsey stayed calm. He adjusted, he experimented. England beat Mexico 2-0, with Bobby Charlton scoring a beautiful goal. They beat France 2-0. 3 games played and not a single goal conceded. The quarter-final brought Argentina to Wembley. It was brutal. The Argentine captain Antonio Ratin was sent off but refused to leave. Police had to escort him from the pitch. England won 1-0 through Geoff Hurst. Afterwards, Ramsey called the Argentines animals. It caused outrage, but English fans loved him for it. The semi-final paired England against Portugal and the brilliant Eusebio. The tournament is top scorer, a man who could win matches single-handedly. This was the real test. Wembley was packed. 90,000 watching in the stadium, millions more at home. Bobby Charlton rose to the occasion. He scored twice. Beautiful goal. Portugal pulled one back through an Eusebio penalty. For the first time in the tournament, England had conceded. but they held on. 2-1. England were in the World Cup final. The 30th of July, 1966. A Saturday. The sun was shining. Across Britain, families prepared for the biggest football match in the nation's history. In pubs, landlords set up extra televisions. In living rooms, chairs were rearranged for the best view. Children were told to sit still and be quiet. This was serious. At the team hotel in Hendon, the England players ate breakfast and tried to stay calm. The team doctor, Neil Phillips, remembered the atmosphere that morning. Tense but focused. Ramsey gave no rousing speeches. He trusted his players knew what to do. At 2 o'clock, the coach left for Wembley. The route was lined with supporters, people waving flags, cheering. The whole journey from Hendon to the stadium was packed on both sides of the road. Wembley Stadium, the Twin Towers gleaming in the afternoon sun. 96,924 people crammed inside, the biggest crowd most of these players had ever seen. Union Jacks everywhere, rattles spinning, the noise deafening. In the royal box, Queen Elizabeth II took her seat. She would present the trophy to the winners. At 3 o'clock, the referee Gottfried Dienst of Switzerland blew his whistle. England kicked off against West Germany. For the first 11 minutes, both teams probed, tested each other. Then disaster. A cross came in from the German left. Ray Wilson misheaded it. The ball fell to Helmut Haller. He shot. Gordon Banks could not reach it. 1-0 to Germany. Across Britain, hearts sank. In living rooms, people groaned. Fathers put their heads in their hands. Had it all been for nothing? But this England team did not panic. 6 minutes later, Wolfgang Overath fouled an English player near the German box. Bobby Moore took the free kick quickly. He floated a perfect ball into the area. Jeff Hurst rose unmarked and headed it down into the net. 1-1. The rest of the first half was tense. Chances at both ends. Bobby Charlton hit the post. The Germans looked dangerous on the break. At half-time it was still 1-1. In homes across Britain, cups of tea were hastily made. Cigarettes were lit. Nobody wanted to miss the second half. The minutes ticked by. 60 minutes. 70 minutes. Neither side could break through. Then, in the 78th minute, the ball broke loose in the German penalty area. Martin Peters reacted fastest. He struck it firmly into the net. 2-1 to England! Wembley erupted. 12 minutes from winning the World Cup. Those 12 minutes felt like hours. Every German attack brought terror. Every clearance brought relief. The clock crept towards 90. 88 minutes. 89 minutes. Then it happened. A free kick to Germany on the edge of the box. The ball was blasted into the wall. It ricocheted around. Bodies everywhere. Wolfgang Weber stuck out a foot, and the ball crossed the line. 2-2. The final whistle blew on 90 minutes. England had been seconds away. Now they faced 30 minutes of extra time. The players slumped on the pitch, exhausted, devastated. Then Alf Ramsey walked onto the field. He gathered his team around him. "Look at them," he said, pointing at the Germans. "They are finished. You have won it once. Now go out and win it again." The first period of extra time was cagey. Both teams tired. Then, in the 101st minute, Alan Ball received the ball on the right. He had run more than anyone. His legs should have been gone, but he found the energy to put in a cross. Jeff Hurst swiveled and shot. The ball crashed against the underside of the crossbar. It bounced down. Did it cross the line? Time stopped. Players froze. The referee was not sure. He turned to his linesman Tofik Bahramov from the Soviet Union, standing on the far side. Bahramov nodded. He pointed to the center circle. Goal. 3-2 to England. The Germans protested. To this day, they insist the ball did not cross the line. In Germany, such a goal is still called a Wembley Tor. A Wembley goal. The debate will never end. But the referee had decided. England led. The final minutes were agony. Germany threw everyone forward. England defended desperately. The seconds crawled. Then, in the 120th minute, Bobby Moore won the ball in his own half. A German tackle came in. Moore calmly sidestepped it. He looked up and saw Jeff Hurst sprinting forward. Moore hit a perfect long pass. Hurst took it in his stride. He was through on goal. Some supporters had already spilled onto the pitch, thinking the final whistle had blown. On the BBC, Kenneth Wolstenholme was commentating. "And here comes Hurst," he said. "He has got some people are on the pitch. They think it is all over." Hurst drew back his left foot and smashed the ball into the top corner of the net. It is now 4-2. The final whistle blew seconds later. England had won the World Cup. The scenes at Wembley were unlike anything seen since the end of the war. Players collapsed in joy and exhaustion. Nobby Stiles danced his famous toothless jig holding the ball above his head. Bobby Moore climbed the steps to the royal box. He noticed his hands were dirty and muddy from the pitch. Before shaking the Queen's hand, he wiped them on the velvet balustrade. A small moment that people still talk about today. The Queen presented the Jules Rimet Trophy. Bobby Moore lifted it high. The photograph of that moment became one of the most famous images in British sporting history. Moore on the shoulders of Jeff Hurst and Ray Wilson. The golden trophy gleaming against the grey Wembley sky. Outside the stadium, supporters poured into the streets. Cars honked their horns. Strangers embraced. In pubs across the country, drinks were raised. In villages in Yorkshire, the whole population streamed out of local hotels and started cheering. One witness said his father thought some kind of military coup was happening because suddenly the quiet streets were full of dancing, shouting people. The celebrations echoed VE Day, the same sense of national triumph, the same strangers hugging in the street. The England team attended a banquet at the Royal Garden Hotel in Kensington that evening. Outside, 2,000 supporters gathered, just hoping to catch a glimpse of the players. And here is something that tells you about the times. The players who appeared in the final received a bonus of £1,000 each. A good sum in 1966, but not everyone in the squad had played. Some had been there throughout the tournament without getting on the pitch. The 11 who played in the final held a quick meeting. They voted to share the bonus with everyone. Instead of £1,000 each, they took 500, so their teammates would not be left out. That was the spirit of that team. In the days that followed, the Royal Mail issued a special stamp, 4p. It said, "England winners." People queued to buy them. The stamps briefly sold for 15 shillings each as everyone wanted a piece of history. But time passes. The heroes of '66 grew old. Bobby Moore died in 1993, aged just 51. Cancer took him far too young. Bobby Charlton passed away in October 2023. One by one, the men who stopped a nation have left us. Today, only a handful remain. Jeff Hurst is now 82 years old, the last surviving goalscorer from that final. England have never won the World Cup since. Nearly 60 years of hurt, as the song goes. The 1966 final remains the most watched television broadcast in British history. 32.3 million viewers. In an age of streaming and multiple screens, that record will probably never be broken. The crossbar that Hurst's shot struck is now on display at the new Wembley Stadium. You can see it on the stadium tour. The match ball was kept by Helmut Haller, following German tradition. In 1996, 30 years later, a newspaper consortium paid him £80,000 to return it to Jeff Hurst in a symbolic ceremony. What made that day so special was not just the football, it was 32 million people sharing one experience. No smartphones to distract them, no social media to divide them, just families huddled around small televisions, streets falling silent, a nation holding its breath together, cheering together, crying together. Days like that do not come anymore. The world has changed too much. But for those who were there that Saturday afternoon in July 1966, the memory remains as clear as yesterday. The grainy black and white pictures, the voice of Kenneth Wolstenholme. The moment the final whistle blew and everything erupted. If you remember where you were that day, we would love to hear about it. Share your story in the comments, what you saw, what you felt, who you were with, because the people who shared that moment are becoming fewer every year, and their memories deserve to be preserved. They think it is all over. It is now.